He was sentenced today after pleading guilty last month to false accounting after putting in fake receipts for almost £13,000. Darren Mccaffrey reports.
Just to your right, please.
After more than 4 years under investigation, Dennis McShane arrived at court, packed and prepared for a prison sentence after admitting falsely claiming expenses. Mr. Justice Sweeney told Dennis McShane he was imposing a custodial sentence because he had been involved in a deliberate, often repeated and prolonged dishonesty over a 3-year period. Though he accepted that this was not like other expense scandals involving MPs, because Dennis McShane had not made a personal profit from it, and that it occurred at a very difficult moment in his personal life. If you think you've heard much of this before, well, you have. And that's because in less than 48 hours, the transition rules regarding Romanians and Bulgarians end. But so concerned is the Prime Minister about the political impact of another influx of migrants that he needs to be seen to be taking tough action.
Let's go to Waterloo Station. Darren Mccaffrey is there, and Darren, we know we've been talking about a lot of cancellations. Are they still in effect?
Many of them are, Dermot. Today is normally the great Christmas getaway. Well, it's been the great Christmas standstill, really, for most of the morning here at Waterloo. It has to be said, the reason why is because, look at this board. It is cancellation after cancellation after cancellation. Many people have heeded the advice, it should be said, Dermot, not to come to Waterloo this morning. But since that 10 a.m. Time has approached, people are starting to turn up in the numbers and are keen to get home. But Network Rail are reminding us that actually they still need to clear lines. They've had some 80 trees on the lines overnight. 16 trains have come into contact with trees, much worse, they argue, than St Jude's storm about 6 weeks ago. And so it's only really when it is safe, Dermot, to move people back onto trains will they do so.
The Sky's Darren Mccaffrey joins us now live from Westminster. So, Darren, not much of an evidence of an influx of migrants on day one.
Indeed, and that's in some ways why we've seen David Cameron ramping up the rhetoric when it comes to immigration in the last few weeks. He knows, though, just as the government do, that research tends to show actually that immigration is good for the economy on a macro level, and any boost to the UK economy will be welcome at any time. What about this for an idea? So we've all been on trains, sardined into those standard carriages, and we looked in first class and...
No, I'm in first class.
You're in first class.
Just let's get this straight.
It's called public transport.
Yeah, so I look back and there are people crammed there.
And there's lots of free seats around you.
Yeah.
And so the government have come up with this idea that somehow they're going to remove some of those first class carriages. We believe that the government negotiations with some of the train companies, particularly First Great Western, which goes to Bristol and down to Plymouth. And
they have a very nice first class carriage,
wow.
so they do. Very big seats. But they're now going.
Well, they may well be. This is something the government are looking at. I think the key thing is that it won't mean people have lower rail fares. In fact, actually, it'll probably cost the taxpayer more money because the government are going to have to pay for this. But what it will mean is that having paid all that money, you might actually have a seat.